Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by MMA Veteran Chad Herrick. Chad, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Mike? Good to talk to you.
I'm doing good. Chad, you got a fight coming up August 30th at King of the Cage Mercenaries. How's training been going for the fight?
Training's been going real good. It's been a long. I've actually had a lot of time to prepare for this fight. It's probably the longest I've had in my whole career to get ready for an opponent, and without any, without something getting injured or something changing on the card. So it's been good. I had a great training camp. I'm ready to get out to California and put on a good show.
Where are you training at? Are you still with MASH Fight Team?
Yeah, I'm still with James Lee MASH Fight Team.
Mm-hmm.
I travel. Actually, I live about 3 hours north of Detroit, but I drive down there weekly and train with the guys down there. James Lee, Brandon Hunt, Darren Cruikshank, and some of the other guys down in that area.
Mm-hmm. Now, your opponent, Jason Wallraven, how much do you know about him?
I know a little bit. I've had time to kind of study him a bit, and it looks like it's going to be a pretty good matchup. His style kind of resembles mine a little. He really keeps coming forward, puts a lot of pressure on guys, and almost a little more brawling than fighting sometimes. But I'm good with that. I like that style.
What weight class is this fight going to be at? Is it going to be at light heavyweight or middleweight?
This is going to be at light heavyweight. Mm-hmm. I've decided it's middleweight doesn't work very good for me. It's just too much to cut. I just don't feel like myself. So I've come back up to the light heavyweight division, and I give up a little bit of height on the guys, but overall I perform a lot better. I feel a lot better. I don't have to cut quite as much weight, and I usually feel feel good.
Mm-hmm. Is it, when you don't have to cut weight, is it just you have more energy, or because you said that the weight cut isn't too tough, is it just you feel a little bit drained if you're down at a lighter weight class?
Yeah, when I go down, I obviously I feel I don't have the energy. It seems to get my strength a little bit more than it affects most guys. I mean, some guys can cut quite a bit and still feel good and strong. I've noticed, since I've fought at heavyweight, I've fought at light heavy, and I've fought at middleweight. So light heavy just works well for my body. I just feel strong. I feel like I got a lot of energy. I don't necessarily carry a lot of fat, so when I cut weight, I sacrifice a little bit of muscle and obviously water. So it works out better if I stay at 205.
Your last fight was in September of 2011. You fought Brad Burrick. Why such a long layoff? Was it, you had to take some time off and rest the body, or were you just not getting, the offers to fight?
Just a lot of it had to do with the offers. I did need a little time off. I had been going real strong, and not so much physically, more so mentally. So much time away from my family and my wife and kids. It was just starting to. I was burning the candle on both ends, and it was really good. It helped me out mentally. I got my thinking straight, and then also it was real hard to start finding fights. It seems like I got a winning record. I've got some experience. It's hard to get a fight anymore.
Mm-hmm. I was surprised that you weren't on that TXC card. Was that just because this fight was so close?
Yeah, actually, I was really looking for. I was hoping to fight for that on that TXC card. I was really excited about it, but I had already signed a contract with the King of the Cage, for that fight, and it was so close. I didn't want to, get an injury and not be able to go out in California and put on a good show and fight to my best potential.
Mm-hmm. Now, the fight with Brad Burrick, what went wrong for you in that fight?
There was a few things. I wish that's one of those fights I wish I could have back. So I got a low blow in the beginning of the second round. It was really hard to recover from. I've been hit low before, but that one just it took a lot out of me, and I was in a lot of pain. It was really hard to perform, and I didn't want to let my fans down. I didn't want to, there's no quit in me, so I had a lot of people there to watch me fight, and I wanted to finish the fight for them. So I kind of went against all my training, and I went after it. I figured, one way or the other, I got to get out of the fight. Either I'm going out or he's going out. So I went real hard at Brad. He caught me on the way in. So it was was really hard to keep fighting.
Was the fight with Brad, was this the thing that kind of opened up your eyes to, maybe I shouldn't be fighting at middleweight, I should go up to light heavyweight, or had this been something that you had thought about for a little while now?
No, I had thought about that. Obviously, before that one, the fight with Brad, we did a catch weight at 195 because I had tried to tell him, I was talking with all the promotions that I was dealing with that I wasn't going to be going down to middleweight anymore, and they really wanted a matchup between me and Brad, and so we went to the 195, but before that I had already thought, there's no way I'm going back to 185. It just took too much out of me. The best I felt, at 185 was when I fought Joe Dirksen at Cobo Hall, and that was probably the best. I had a good cut down to it. I did it the right way, and I felt good in that fight, but then I never let my body recover. I never came back. I kept fighting at 185. I scheduled a bunch of fights at 185 since I was so light, and stayed, really in a caloric restricted state too long, and I just didn't feel good. So after that, a couple fights at 185, I decided that was it. And then luckily Brad agreed to 195. I was hoping to fight him at light heavy because he normally walks around a little heavier anyways, but we settled on 195, and hopefully maybe someday we'll get a chance to rematch at 205. I'd like that.
At Match Fight Team, is there kind of a little rivalry going with Brad Burt? Because Brandon Hunt, he's fought him 3 times. You fought him once. Is there, or is it just he's just the top guy and the fight just keeps coming up?
Yeah, I don't think there's a rivalry or anything against him. I think it's he's one of the top pros in the state. That doesn't train necessarily with our fight team. So obviously they're gonna we're gonna get matched up eventually. If we had a lot more guys to fight against in the state, top pros, I think you wouldn't see that matchup all the time. But it just seems like when you're good, you get to fight the best. So it just so happens Brad's one of the best guys in the state. So he just happens to get the card against a lot of the Match Fight Team guys.
For a long time now, people have been talking about a fight between you and Brandon Hunt. I know you guys are teammates. You guys train together. Would you ever consider taking that fight?
No, I don't think that fight will ever happen. We're just, for one, Brandon's, like I say, he's a teammate, and he's a real good friend of mine. We've trained together for, day one, actually, since I went pro. So it was... I don't ever foresee that happening. It would take an awful lot to make that fight happen. I don't think Brandon's got any ideas of coming up to 205, and I have no intentions on going down to 185. So, being that we're in separate weight groups, I really think that's not going to happen.
Is that something that you're not really a big fan of? Teammates fighting each other?
Yeah, I'm not too fond of it. I think. Obviously we don't have a lot of pro fighters in Michigan right now, so you're going to get matched up with guys or guys you might have trained with before, but guys that are on the same team that train day in, day out, I don't see that being, I don't see it a good fight for the fighters or the fans, I think you know too much going into the fight on how it's probably going to happen, plus you might be a little tentative on, I know I would be if it was a good friend of mine, punch him in the face.
Yeah. Chad, a couple of fights that I wanted to talk with you about. You mentioned the Joe Dirksen fight, so we'll start with that one. That was a huge fight. It was on HDNet. It was the main event, at Cobo Arena. Joe Dirksen, a big name in this sport. Originally, the main event was supposed to be Jeremy Horn versus Jake Rochat, and then it became the main event because of an injury to Jake Rochat. Were you, in that fight more nervous than before? Or was it just, taking it as a regular fight because it was a huge fight?
No, I didn't necessarily get nervous. I was pretty anxious when they called me originally and asked me if I would fight Joe, and I was definitely, I didn't hesitate. I was in from the first phone call I got, and I was just excited to actually get a chance to fight a guy, like you said, that has a big name, that's had a lot of fights, has been to the top of the MMA world, and just I thought it would be a good chance for me to showcase my skills against him, and I was excited. And then with the injury, the fluke injury to Jake before that fight, and they moved us up to the main event, and it was made it that much, a little better. Anyways, it just had more eyes on me then.
Mm-hmm.
I was put on. I thought I had a pretty good fight going. I just, I wish I would have stopped a couple takedowns. At the end, it was a close, split decision loss. And he eked it out, I think, on the takedowns in the third round. But it was definitely it was a good fight for me.
And the next fight I wanted to talk about, the Tony Lopez fight. It was a 5-round fight. You got caught at the end there. The first 4 rounds, arguably, you were ahead on the scorecards. You were winning that fight. Do you look back on that fight and think about that 5th round a lot?
Yeah, I've had a lot of time to think about that one. I got a little relaxed in the 5th. I felt like I was starting to pull ahead in the fight, and I just could feel the momentum swinging in my way, and I got a little lazy. I come out there and I left too much distance for Tony to give me a good head kick. He's got long legs, and I kind of stepped back, and I remember thinking to myself, all right, I'm about to finish. I'm about to win the belt. I'm about to finish him, and I just that split second where I was thinking that, I dropped my hands down, thinking I had enough distance, and he caught me with that head kick. So that one definitely is one that I think about a lot, and I'm kind of hoping this one with Wallraven might turn into a rematch between Tony and I, for the light heavyweight belt.
The Tony Lopez fight, that head kick, that's on like every highlight tape that he has. Can you watch that? Is that tough for you to watch? Have you gone back and watched that fight ever?
Oh yeah, I go back and I've watched it, and of course I've seen it on. It's been on Bully Beatdown, any highlight, anything with Tony Lopez, anytime he's gonna fight. I always seem to make the highlight reel. Yeah, so I can watch it. It was a mistake on my part. You learn from those things and move on. It's not too hard to watch it anymore, and this gives me good motivation and fire if we ever get a rematch to stay inside on him a little bit more and not give him that distance to throw any head kicks.
Of your losses, is that the rematch that you want the most?
Yeah, probably that would definitely be up there. As probably the number one. Number 2, I'd definitely like a rematch with Brad Burke, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I've heard rumors that he might be dropping to 170, and I'm definitely not going back to any lower than 205. So
right.
I don't think that's ever going to take place. And probably another one where I would love to have a shot at, Joe Dirksen again.
Mm-hmm. Tony Lopez, you mentioned if you should win this fight, that potentially there could be a title fight for the light heavyweight belt against him. What would mean more to you? Would it be getting a win over Tony Lopez or getting that belt?
Oh, I think the belt would be a little bit more for me, anyways. Obviously the win would be great. I love winning, but having that belt around my waist would give me, it would kind of complete my MMA career and kind of give me, it's the pinnacle of the king of the cage and something I've strived for since I started. I'd almost feel like I did something.
Chad, your biggest name opponent that you've beaten is Ray Lopez. What has been your best win, do you think?
Yeah, probably Ray is my best win. He's putting on. He was a tough guy. I remember that fight when we fought. That's one that sticks out the most to me because it's just as tough and how much punishment he was able to take and still finish the fight against me. My hat was off to him, and I told him that when we got done fighting. And he's put on. He's been on. He's had, I think, one other loss with Arlovsky after that, and he's been doing pretty well. So it's nice after you beat somebody to have them keep going on and winning. So it gives you a little something to look back on your record and say, yeah, that was a tough guy, and I ended up beating him. So I think he's probably the number one guy.
Chad, how did you get your nickname, the Hitman?
Oh, that started. That was a while back when I first started in my amateur days. I was actually training with a group of guys that I started out with in a small boxing gym in Bay City, and one of my teammates had walked in as I was in the middle of sparring a guy, and I had caught him with a big shot and actually dropped him. And when my training partner had He said, "Holy cow!" He goes, "I thought somebody shot him. It looked like he had a hit put out on him." And after that, the one guy was like, "Hey, that's a good name for him, the Hitman." You know, just out of nowhere with the heavy hands, just one shot and it was over. So it kind of stuck after that. It was. I mean, I look back at it now. It was a pretty fluke shot. I didn't have that very good skills when it came to stand up yet. I got him with a lucky shot, but at the time I was like, "Yeah, that's what I am. That's how I roll."
Yeah, it's got a good ring to it. I like it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's fit me well throughout my fighting career. So I think it's going to be with me till the end.
Chad, this fight against Jason Walraven, how do you see it ending?
Well, from some of the videos that I've seen on Jason, I think sometimes he drops his hands pretty early. It looks like his conditioning might be a little suspect at times. So I foresee him dropping his hands a little too low. I mean, possibly end of the first round, maybe the beginning of the second, and I think I'm going to be able to catch him with some good shots. I've been working a lot with my boxing coach down in Bay City, Tom Toth, and we've been watching the videos on him. And I think he's open for a lot of good shots, especially when he gets tired and drops his hands a little bit.
Chad, real quick before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you would like to thank, and is there anything you'd like to say to the fans?
Well, I definitely want to thank all the fans that keep supporting me. I've had a good following, and and all the fans in Michigan that keep the sport going and keep it alive. Sponsors, just Alpha Warrior Fightwear. They're one of my biggest sponsors, and then thank all my training partners, all the guys that have helped me out. My boxing coach, like I said, Tom, and some of the guys that are in my area that help me out get ready. Dewey, Shane, Caleb, and then also the guys down at the Match Fight team in Detroit. James Lee, Brandon Hunt, Darren Cruikshank, John Toth down there. So that's about it.
Chad, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it. Good luck August 30th at King of the Cage Mercenaries against Jason Walraven.
Yep, thank you. I appreciate it, Mike. It was good talking with you.